Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown has just released its first news of 2024 and it looks really good. As expected, we got both a newsletter and a trailer, and I think the Explorer might be my favorite from this mini-series. Before we get to the comprehensive trailer breakdown though, how about I do a live reaction for a change? Alright, here we go with the Explorer trailer. Oh, and already it's more than one car. Alright. Nice to see the Delta out. Okay, nice song choice. Oh, okay, so that's... Alright, nice to see the side parts are nice and bumpy still. Oh, the reservoir with the Audi screenshot. Okay, okay, nice to see the photo mode actually in effect now. They kept the parts, the hiking trails, nice and narrow. That F-150 looks massive on there. Nice. Another collectible. Okay, these look really, really cool, I'm not going to lie. Oh my god, that water though. Yep, gotta show off the suspension on the Delta. I'm not gonna lie, that Delta does sound pretty cool. You can hear that like sort of almost nasally induction sound that you see on the 131 above. Oh, okay, of course, you gotta show off a wreck in the Explorer trailer. And there's the buggy Beetle. 14 parts, okay, okay. Very cool. Nice to see. I think part of the reason why I enjoyed that trailer so much was because it combined cruising with a nice song choice and rural Hong Kong, something we've been wanting to see for quite some time, especially given that less than half of the island's area is actually urban city. For a nice change, we got to see more than just one car and got to see a whole variety of cars. It is a bit of a shame that there weren't any new cars, but at least the ones they showed off were pretty cool. Those being the Lancia Delta HF Integrale, which sounds pretty close to its real-world counterpart. And the Audi Q7 V12 TDI, my beloved SUV, returning from Test Drive Unlimited 2. In this trailer, the Sharp seem to be represented by Porsche, driving both the Cayenne Turbo S and the Taycan Cross Turismo Turbo S, which, if I'm not mistaken, is the first time we're seeing an electric estate in a racing game. So that's a pretty neat addition to the game. Of course, it seems that no modern racing game is complete without a Ford F-150 Raptor, and what I love about it is that it actually looks gigantic going down some of these off-road paths, which is something I can't really say about certain other games. So I'm really happy that Kylotonn has made these really narrow and bumpy off-road paths. Sure, it might not have SnowRunner levels of physics, but you can definitely see that the Lancia Delta on its stock suspension is getting really upset over these bumpy side paths. So while I can't believe I'm actually saying this, maybe we have a racing game where SUVs and pickup trucks deserve to be in the game. So Kylotonn, I think I'm gonna have to beg for a Land Rover Defender, Rivian R1T, or even that new Toyota Land Cruiser. I think all three would be brilliant additions to the game and super fitting to TDU. A couple of things I want to touch on though before we move on are the off-road upgrades. And I'd be lying if I didn't say I was disappointed with the last update when we saw that you could chuck on off-road oriented upgrades onto supercars. After all, this is Test Drive Unlimited and not Forza Horizon. Now, Kylotonn has said numerous times in the past that supercars won't be able to go off-road very well, nor SUVs fast on asphalt, as it should be. I want to give Katie the benefit of the doubt and say that unlike other racing games, even if you put on off-road suspension and tires, it'll still be awful to drive off-road, but nevertheless, it'd be really nice if they could clear this up. Again, it's just a minor nitpick, but I thought it'd be worth pointing out. One thing I'm a massive fan of though are the car classes. I always wanted Solocran to ditch the TDU style of classes, and they have. If you didn't already know, cars are split depending on what car type they are. So daily drivers, cross-country, supercar, G, and etc. And then it gets an overall performance index. An event might limit cars on those two metrics, or it might be something else like how old the car is, what country it's from, and so on and so forth. Because this trailer isn't called The Off-Roader, there has to be a reason for exploring the island. Solocran is claiming that there's almost 300 collectible items around the island, including solar coins, reputation, clan influence, and special objects. Special objects. Returning from TDU2 are car wrecks, and there's 2 unlockable cars, one of which being an off-road buggy beetle. Since this is Test Drive Unlimited, you will have to work for your cars, so no wheel spins for you, little Jimmy. In order to claim one of these free cars, you will have to collect 14 of them, which coincidentally is the same number of districts that Solocran said they're splitting the island into. So I guess some might be hidden in the countryside, some might be hidden in the city, and some might be hidden under that subscribe button. I mean, what? Now the trailer looks insanely good graphically, with the level of detail that has gone into the map and lighting alike. But KT actually points out something you might not have noticed, and that's the absence of particle effects like dust. They state they're still working on optimizing these effects, since while attention to detail is key in a Test Drive Unlimited game, ensuring decent performance and smooth gameplay is also a massive priority for them. Speaking of which, Kylotonn actually says that most of TDU's gameplay is currently being finalized, but there's still big challenges that the team is working on. They use the map as an example for how much work has already gone into Solocran by saying it's taken over 3 years to make it into a reality. And to be honest, I think they're being quite modest with that estimation, as I expect that doesn't include the massive amount of research and references they needed to get from the location. And just in case if you've forgotten how long ago 3 years was, it means that the map has been in development longer than Forza Horizon 5 has been out. Let that sink in. They also reassure us by saying how long each car model takes to get to TDU levels of quality, taking up to 4 months to complete each and every car. So that means that each of the 59 currently confirmed cars has the potential of holding almost 560 hours of work, and that's only if you assume one employee is working on each car. So even if the minute details like being able to put your spoiler up in a McLaren or popping down the roof in a convertible isn't that groundbreaking to you, all of these little details add up, especially when you consider this game was actually built from the ground up, unlike a certain other game. Kylotonn states they've been able to make significant progress in recent months, mainly down to the feedback people have been providing, which is probably another reason as to why the game was announced super early on. They've been constantly testing the servers for Solocran, as Solocran is an MMO, and they really value the multiplayer aspect. To be honest, it shouldn't be that much of a surprise that multiplayer is the main focus for Solocran, as Test Drive Unlimited has always revolved around the multiplayer aspect. I mean, look at this ancient Test Drive Unlimited 1 trailer stating the game is also an MMO. It's also easy to forget that Test Drive Unlimited 2 expanded on a lot of multiplayer features because the game also added a story. The clubs, the racing center, the casino, the online events that weren't racing oriented, those are all what made TDU2 the best in class for its multiplayer experience. Sure, the campaign is fun, but the game is still alive today, 13 years after its release, because people can actually play the game with each other. Cruise together, race together, crash together. It's the TDU experience. Kylotonn explains various elements of TDU's DNA have been altered to provide a better multiplayer experience. They added social hubs like the Solo Hotel, so you can meet other players. And oh, what's that? The Crew Motorfest also does that? Well, does Motorfest have a reason to actually stay? Like having a clothes store, or a surgeon, or a bar, or a voice chat to actually talk to people in the lobby with you, so you're not just staring at each other awkwardly. Imagine meeting people in dealerships and talking about what car you're buying next, or showing off your ride in a workshop, or maybe just saying the worst pickup lines known to man in either of the clan headquarters. They list a bunch of other reasons, which I won't go over, for something you probably knew was already coming, and that's the fact Solo Crown is an online-only game. Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. That will annoy a lot of people, and I'm not going to stand in the way. Especially when we've literally just seen Ivory Tower do nothing to patch the Crew 1. I'm gonna be right with you on the bandwagon of praying KT doesn't do the same when Solo Crown reaches the end of its supposed 5+ year lifespan of post-launch content. Now, I love Test Drive Unlimited, so I'm not gonna have an hour-long argument about online-only games. What I will say though is if you're one of the millions of people that play Helldivers, The Crew, Final Fantasy, Destiny, Diablo, any gacha game, any competitive shooter, or League of Legends, although actually if you play that last one, please take a shower immediately, this is probably not going to be an issue for you. That doesn't mean that it's not an issue for some, but the harsh reality is that for the vast majority of people, while it does kind of suck to have to label it as an online-only game, that's really not going to stop people from playing and enjoying the game. So let's agree to leave 2030 alone and talk about the here and now instead. Everyone wants a launch date. I mean, I personally didn't expect it because we haven't had playtest 3 yet, but that doesn't stop people from still expecting a date. Kylotonn goes on to saying they've considered announcing a release date several times, but they want to take the time to release the game in a state that matches your expectations. That means everything in the game has to work in a smooth and stable fashion for what might be millions of players. I think we can all agree that we don't want a similar launch experience to Horizon 5, where you can't even connect and play with other people to the point where it became a community meme. Let's also not forget that Test Drive Unlimited is a name that's been dormant for over a decade, so if they had a shitty launch, people will be less inclined to put up with it than, say, a Forza or a Need for Speed title. So, in terms of a release date, KT have said that they'll share a release date when they're comfortable with the stability of the servers and optimizing the game so that everyone is able to have a nice, fun, playable experience. With that being said, they say more test phases will be starting soon, including Playtest 3, which will expand to more players and more regions. So if what they say is true about these past few months of collecting and fixing stuff from the previous playtests, it's definitely a good opportunity to sign up and help the game. The Crew Modes Fest might not be the perfect game for everyone, but there's no denying that it had an incredible bug and pain-free launch, which its 5 playtests definitely aided with. So if you haven't already, sign up to the newsletter on the official Test Drive Unlimited website for a chance to be chosen in Playtest 3. If you've already signed up, you're good to go, and if you've been in a previous playtest, you should get invited back again. The Explorer trailer was absolutely stunning, and I can't wait to get engrossed in Hong Kong's rural landscape. The sheer density of vegetation has come full circle from what Test Drive Unlimited 1 wanted to have, because apparently having a massive island wasn't good enough. But of course that didn't happen in TDU 1 because the game would not have been able to run. So now here we are, 18 years later, now being able to experience not just a true Test Drive Unlimited game, but what is lining up to easily snatch that title of Best Racing Game Franchise again. I'd love to hear what you thought about the trailer. Personally, I thought it could have done with a few more rally cars. If you're new to the game, I recommend watching this video. Otherwise, have a nice rest of the week, and I'll see you next time. Bye! This 1 of 60 Lotus Evora is exclusive to TDU Solo Crown and is rather special. You see, before the Amira, the Evora used to be Lotus's more boring, but still very sports car-like vehicle in the lineup. It's like having a road legal